At Schmidt Realty Group, we are passionate about education, training, and mentoring. I'm Kathy Schmidt, the broker owner of Schmidt Realty Group, and this morning I want to introduce you to our senior training manager, Sabrina Bright. Together, we did a lot of work over the years creating and developing and tweaking and making current on a regular basis our training program, which we call Real Estate Mastery. And that consists of roughly 20 modules of 2 to 3 hours each, classroom time in person, going over the real stuff of real estate. So I'm just going to bring Sabrina in to join us here. Hi, Sabrina.
Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. So thanks for joining me so we can just share, just give people a little bit of a taste of what happens in Real Estate Mastery at Schmidt Realty Group. So what's your role in the Real Estate Mastery program?
Okay. So basically, I run the program. And I'm the kind of the lead instructor there for that. I teach most of the modules, but there are modules that are taught by yourself and also by Brad Bosker, another wonderful agent at our office that has some pretty significant skills. And so my bent is really teaching all of the stuff about real estate, real property reports, negotiation techniques, filling out contracts, all kinds of things. And my specialty is I'm a seller representative specialist. So I work on the listing side of things, have for the last several years. And so I have a real passion for listing, even though I've had lots of experience with buyers, but Brad handles that part. And I tend to focus more on the selling side of it. So that's my role.
And this morning, what are you going to give us a little sneak peek into just one part of one module?
Oh, sure. There's so much. As you say, most of the modules are 3 hours long. So basically a half day of instruction. But one of my favorite modules, actually, it probably is my favorite module to teach, is the one about the 4 different personality types, because I just find it something that's just so helpful, not just for real estate and for helping agents really build really good relationships with their own clients, but it's helpful in interpersonal relationships. It's helpful in, working with your coworkers, and it's even helpful when you are negotiating with another agent. And the reason for that is really the 4 personality types give us an indication as to how people want to receive communication. It's not that one personality type is better than the other or anything like that. It's just if you can learn to recognize which personality type the person that you're talking to with, which one they are, you're going to be able to deliver the information to them in a way that's going to make sense to them. It won't frustrate them. It'll give them enough information, but not too much information. So I think it's just one of those life skills that's really important. And it's a fun unit to teach too. And we cover it in detail, but this is just a snippet maybe this morning.
Well, it really comes down to sort of what we call the platinum rule, not treating people as we want to be treated, but treating people as they want to be treated. People that want lots of detail, make sure they have it. People that don't want a lot of detail, make sure we don't overburden them with too much data, and understanding that. Well, I'll put up a little graphic here that we've got, and let you sort of walk people through that.
Sure. So, in Real Estate Mastery, we'd be going into these in depth. I've actually taken a full day course in these at one point in my career, and it was one of the best investments of time I ever took. And recently, I just took my real estate negotiation expert designation, and they went into this in terms of dealing with negotiations. You find out what, or try to determine what the agent on the other side of the equation is, and help communicate more effectively with them, right? So the 4 personality types, I'll just mention, this isn't something airy-fairy. I think that sometimes when we hear personality types or getting into analysis and things, it's interesting because I'm fortunate to have a number of clients who are registered psychologists, and they tell me that they use this system as well. They just name it something differently. They because they're worried about these words having potentially triggering.
Sure. People could be sensitive, but no one wants to be labeled. And this isn't about labeling people. It's really more thinking about how can we best serve these clients? How can we best communicate with these other agents or with our colleagues? What's going to be most helpful to the other person that will help everything move forward for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And psychologists tell me they use colors. So here we don't. So really there's 4 basic personality types. And I'll just say we all can fit into any of these at different times, given different scenarios, but we all have a dominant personality type, a go-to, a more natural one. And then we can adapt if we need to, So for instance, someone who's lots of fun and it might be a high I, they might become quite analytical when they're shopping or something. So really the 4 personality types, as you can see here, are dominant, influential, steady, and compliant. And just to hop into it, dominant, these are the people who just want the facts. They are decisive, they're direct. They'll just tell you what they want. When you're out showing homes, for instance, you might pull up to a house and they look and they go, oh, nope, don't like the looks of it. Let's move on. They don't feel any need to mess around with the details. When you're pricing their home, you start to go into too much detail and they go, you know what, I can see you know what you're doing. Just give me the bottom line. They're the just the facts, ma'am kind of people, right? So I love dealing with them because you don't have to guess what they're thinking. They tell you. and when they
And if you're looking for hints, things like email will give you hints. If the email starts out, hey Sabrina, that price looks great, thanks. Or hey Sabrina, thanks for the information. You may have, a D. They're not going to start out by saying, hey Sabrina, hope you're having a really great day. I know you were going away this weekend, and it's not going to be that. So there's lots of little clues if you just listen to people and watch their behavior. They're telling you all the time about themselves and how they like to receive and give communication.
Yep. I think one of the easiest and one of the most fun ways to tell what the personality type is to listen to their voicemail, and like their message, their away message. And so a high D will say, you know what to do. And you're kind of like, oh, I guess I do. That's a just the headlines kind of person. So to move into the I's, these are the influencers, or we like to call them sneezers at Schmidt. They're the people who are always influencing other people. They're high energy. They're animated. They're the ones who say, oh my gosh, I just tried this fantastic shampoo. If you don't buy this shampoo, you're insane. Here's a snapshot of the shampoo. Here's where you can get it at Shoppers Drug Mart. I mean, they're all about, helping other people get excited about things like they are. They're the people who bring energy to the room, right?
Yes.
And so those people are great. You can tell who they are on their voicemails too, because they're like, hey, it's Joanne, I'm out doing something fun.
High
like,
energy.
Leave me a message, right? So you can pretty much tell. And you can also tell by the speed of their speed.
Yes, very much.
Those top 2 quadrants there, they tend to be very fast talkers, like you and I, and certainly, people who want to move things along. If we hop down into the other section there, steady, the S's, these are really, these are the caregivers of the world. So you'll often find that these are nurses and such, perhaps teachers. Exactly. I was going to say elementary school teachers. They're stable, supportive, sincere. They care about everyone else. When we're showing them homes, they go, well, I can live with a small, kitchen, but little Billy, are you going to be okay with that bedroom? They're often more concerned about other people's joy and happiness than they are of themselves. And on this one, I always laugh because we all know these people when you call them and you get their message and they go, hi, this is Mary, and this is little Billy, and this is little, Mary Lou, and oh, here's the dog, woof, woof, we're out at the park, and we'd love to talk to you, but we can't talk right now because we're having fun, so I probably got this on my hands, right? Yeah. So then I know how to communicate to that person, right? And so this is a person who wants it slowed down a little bit, particularly, let's say in a listing situation. You're not going to blast a bunch of figures and data at this person and expect them to make a decision. They tend to, operate a lot on their emotions and their caregiving emotions and such. So lovely people.
Thoughtful people in all ways.
Absolutely. And then, in that same slower paced section, over in the other section there, you get compliant, the high C's. And I like to call them the computers of the world. You're never going to find an engineer that isn't a high C. This is a person who needs data, who wants absolutely to know the facts before they move forward. They're the person who's going to want to see that you really know what you're doing and that you've got the numbers and the stats to back it up. They're not just going to take someone's word for it. And wonderful clients as well. They're just more cautious, and you need to know when you're going to present information to them, bring your A game, because they're going to ask you for every analysis. And if you bring a statistic in to show them, they're going to ask you to explain what it is, So all 4 types. And as I say, we can be any one of those, but you probably know in your heart of hearts which one you are,
And
yourself.
it's interesting, a lot of it sort of comes to the motivation in terms of pace. We might say that an S and C might move at a slightly slower pace in terms of decision making, but for different reasons. The S is checking in with everyone else and maybe in the families, everyone feeling okay about this. The C is saying, I need more information. So pace is really a good way to tell if you've maybe got a D or a DI, or if you've got a CS. That really can help you, just even that alone, just to match their pace, to make sure that you're giving them information quickly enough, or at a pace that's a more, I won't say slow, but just at a calmer pace, more deliberate pace might be another, thoughtful. That's a better word for sure.
And, by contrast, you look at, the D's and the I's, I have found in my experience in real estate that the D's are like, listen, I'm not going to look at 100 houses. I don't have time for that. Just show me a few, and you'll show them a style of home. And after they see that, they go, you know what? I don't like this style of home. Don't ever take me to one of those again. They tend to make their decisions and be firm with it and fine. With I's, they buy a lot and sell a lot on emotion. And so, the I is the one going, I love purple cupboards. Oh my goodness, this house feels like my house.
And they'll want to see a lot. They'll want to see a lot more and have fun with you. So again, and these are all great people to work with. I work with, people in all different personality types, all the time, as you do, Sabrina, as well. So it's really just about understanding that. And now imagine being on the client side. And if you are more of a high C personality and your agent is saying, now, do you have enough information? But you're going to feel like, oh, this person really understands me, because guess what? They do, right? If you've got a client who's a high I, I'm just like, are you having fun with the house hunting? Are you guys finding this, is this what you're looking for? And, you're telling your friends and family about the process, and you're sort of engaging with them. We're in this together. They're going to remember that. And at the end of the day, we want to serve our clients with care and consideration and excellence, and make sure their experience of the whole thing is really positive. And from a business point of view, that leads to repeat business, and it leads to referrals, and it leads to a good business. But from a very personal point of view, from my personal point of view, it leads to just wonderful business in terms of how I enjoy it as well, because I can tell that my clients are appreciating the service in the way that I'm providing it.
Well, and I always feel, Kathy, that our job as agents is obviously not to slam someone into a house or to convince them to take a list price that they're not comfortable with. I want to educate them, and if I know how they like receiving information, and if I know how much detail they want, that really helps me so that I don't frustrate them. Huge. If I gave a high D the kind of level of data and information that I give a high C, the D is going to lose patience with me, and they're going to zone out, and I'm probably not going to get their business, never mind their referral business, So these things are very important. And as I say, very helpful in dealing with life partners, with children, co-workers, brokers, right? It's a great skill. I'm so glad I learned this. Honestly, I use this every day of my life. And it's a wonderful guide to how you talk to other people, and, what mode you go into when you're speaking with them. So,
well, and speaking of, again, just sort of what the different behind the scenes things that are going on, when we talk about people's fears, because of course, when people are buying and selling, there's a lot to be maybe feeling a little bit afraid about, because there's lots of unknowns. These 4 different groups all have sort of different key fears. And Sabrina, I wonder if you take a minute and just sort of walk through the DISC fears by group.
And
really interesting.
When you talk about fears, I think, purchasing or selling a home is a stressful time, even if it's for a happy reason. But let's face it, often it's not a happy reason. We deal with people in financial distress. We deal with people who've been widowed. We deal with people who are sick, who've lost their jobs, these kind of things. So, any one of us have anxiety, to a level when we're making a big life move like this. It's a tough thing, right? So if you look at what the fear is, that can really help you as an agent understand what the underlying concern is, the basic concern of that person. So for a D, the underlying concern is they don't want you to make a fool of them.
Don't take advantage of me. They
will trust you forever, but it's like, you better know your stuff, and I'm going to put my faith in you. And I mean, the lovely thing about dealing with high D clients is once you've earned their trust, you've probably got it forever. And, you might not have talked to them in 5 years, and they call you up and they go, hey, Bright, I've got a referral for you. You did a great job last time. Do the same thing for these guys.
Yes. We both have clients like that, and we love them.
Yep. absolutely. For a high I individual, the psychologists tell us that the fear is not being liked. So if we
Yep.
stay out of contact with them, if we tell them we're going to call them on Tuesday and something comes up, an emergency or something, and we don't call them, they're going to be like, oh my goodness, did I say something to them? Is it because we said no to that last house?
Yes.
They kind of panic if they have to cancel a sale.
They might think it's their fault.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. S's are concerned with everyone being happy. That's their big thing.
And feeling safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because, they're the people that when they go into, purchase a vehicle, they want to make sure there's, seat warmers in the back for their kids, because it's not okay just for mom and dad to have it. That's a high S individual. So is everybody going to be okay? And a C, very, very important. And I think this is the biggest one actually for any of these, is they're afraid of making a mistake. They're absolutely honest, and it's not a judgment, but they are terrified when they're doing this. This is a big, scary step, and they're just hoping and praying that you've got their back. And, and if you can show them that you're protecting them every step of the way, you're fulfilling your fiduciary responsibility to them, taking care of them, then they're going to be happy. And, I think there too, it's important to mention, as agents, we don't care what house you buy. We just want you to get the right house, and we want to get you the right price for your home and such. So being able to communicate to you and have you understand that and educate you in a way that makes sense, for your personality type, just makes the whole thing much smoother. And as you say, it leads to repeat business and referral business and just, all those good things that we want as agents, right?
Well, exactly. I mean, so as you can see, it's quite in depth. This is a topic that gets woven into all 20 modules, because we're always talking about how can we best serve our clients? How can we best explain why they might need a new real property report, or what their options are about that? Understanding their personality helps those discussions go a lot smoother and helps them receive the information really, really well. So again, this is woven through all the modules in the Real Estate Mastery program. And if you'd like to know anything more about Real Estate Mastery, you can reach out to Sabrina here. There's her cell number. You can reach out to myself or Brad Bosker. He's our other training manager, and we'd be happy to answer your questions about the Mastery program, what that looks like, and what our training and mentoring ongoing also looks like at Schmidt. So hopefully that's given you just a good little taste, a little teaser about what we do at Schmidt Realty Group in our Real Estate Mastery program. We're really proud of the program, very passionate about it, and great believers in the fact that it takes a new agent or any agent either to hit reset and regroup your career, or start off with a really strong depth of knowledge and the practical support that you need. So Sabrina, I know you are a busy realtor with clients of your own to go and deal with and assist. So I will leave you to go and do that for the rest of the day. But thanks for spending a few minutes with me. And for the rest of you, I hope whatever you're up to, that your day goes really well. Thanks for spending a few minutes and learning a bit more about Schmidt Realty Group and what we do there in our education programs. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Thanks, Kathy.